Right After Input by David and Peggy Kay. Copyright 2008 by David and Peggy Kay. Published by Prolingua Associates. www.prolinguaassociates.com. Unit 1, Listening 1, page 3. This is a true story about a very hungry dog. The cell phone. Dogs often cause problems. Rachel received a cell phone for Christmas. She opened the present and put the cell phone under the Christmas tree. Later, she tried to find the cell phone, but it was gone. She looked everywhere for it. Finally, she called the telephone company and got the phone number for the cell phone. Rachel dialed the number, and she heard the phone ringing from her sleeping dog, Charlie. However, Charlie was not lying on top of the phone. Actually, he ate the phone. Rachel quickly took Charlie to the vet. A vet is an animal doctor. The vet decided not to operate. He told her to wait 24 hours. In 24 hours, the phone passed out of Charlie's system naturally. This dog caused a big expense for Rachel.
Unit 1, Listening 2, page 5. A man needing help. Helping someone is not always a good idea. I lived in Chicago, and I had this experience with a man in distress. The man was crying. He seemed to be lost, so I offered to help him. He told me his story. He was from California, and this was the first time for his family to visit Illinois. He put his wife on a train to Peoria. Soon he realized something. She had his wallet, so he had no money at all. He needed to get to Peoria, but he didn't know how to get there. I wanted to be a hero, so I gave him $20, my home address, and directions to Peoria. He was very happy and promised to mail me the money soon. However, the money never came. 7 months later, I recognized someone on a corner. It was the same man, and he was crying. I walked up to him. He did not recognize me. He told me his story again. He was from California, and this was the first time for his family to visit Illinois. Next time, I will be more careful about helping a stranger.
Unit 1, Listening 3, page 24. Avoid repeating nouns and verbs. 1. Tom opened a book and he tried to study. 2. Mary withdrew some money from her bank account so she could pay the rent. 3. Barry cooked breakfast first and then he made his lunch. 4. My family drove to the beach in the morning. At sunset, we returned home. 5. During tourist season, travelers should make hotel reservations early. Also, they can expect to wait in lines at popular attractions. 6. I don't like the weather in winter. It is often too cold. 7. We often get junk mail in our mailbox. Yesterday, some arrived in our email account, too.
Unit 1, Listening 4, page 28. Best Friend's Surprise. Sometimes we learn surprising information about our best friends. Gary Clark and Steve Barbin met in a bar 25 years ago and became close friends. In fact, Gary was best man in Steve's wedding. A few weeks ago, they learned something surprising. They were actually brothers. Their parents had 13 children and gave up 9 of them for adoption. One of these children found the adoption records and learned that Gary and Steve were 2 of the 9 adopted children. Gary had 2 more surprises. His workout partner in a gym was also one of his brothers. In addition, many years ago, he dated one of his sisters for a short time and didn't know it. Fortunately, they didn't get married. Gary will soon write a book about this amazing story.
Unit 2, Listening 1, page 44. Before starting, I want to explain something. This is in essay style. You will notice that the last sentence in the introduction is the thesis statement. This is the style that we are practicing when we write essays in these next units. Training a dog. Dogs are popular pets. However, if a dog thinks that he is the boss of the family, he can cause problems for everyone. My brother's dog, Sasha, wasn't obedient. In fact, she was not even polite to some family members. This essay will explain how my brother's family trained Sasha to obey commands and to respect every member of the family. When the family trained Sasha, they followed these 3 general rules. The first rule was to teach Sasha to obey some simple commands, such as sit. If she sat, she received a reward. Sometimes the reward was just praise. For example, they said, "Good dog." At other times, the reward was a treat. If Sasha wanted something, such as her dinner, she had to sit first. If she refused to sit, everyone in the family walked away and ignored her. The second rule was that Sasha should respect everyone. Unfortunately, sometimes she was not respectful of some family members. For example, Sasha thought that she was more important than my brother's son, Danny. To solve that problem, Danny's job became to give Sasha all her food and treats. Of course, Danny always told Sasha to sit first. If she obeyed Danny's command, he gave her something to eat. However, if Sasha disobeyed, Danny walked away and ignored her. Finally, here was the third rule. They did not allow Sasha to sleep on the beds or sit on the furniture. This was important because it helped Sasha to understand that she was not equal to the other family members. Although people will always love pets, Some pets will cause trouble. However, it is not necessary to have a bossy dog.
Unit 2, Listening to, page 58. How to avoid getting a speeding ticket. A policeman visited our class the other day. He came to talk about driving. He gave us some advice about how to avoid getting a speeding ticket. In this essay, I will describe what we should not do if a police officer stops us for speeding. The officer told us 6 things that we should not do. First, we should not get out of the car. If we do, the police officers might think that we are attacking them. Second, we should not take off our seatbelt. The officers might think that we were not wearing one, so they might give us a ticket. Next, the officer said we should not cry. The police will not feel sorry for an 18-year-old person who is crying. Also, if we are stopped by the police, drivers should not try to flirt with them. In other words, we should not tell them that they are attractive. This is an insult to their intelligence. Fifth, we should not pretend that we didn't know that we made a mistake. We will look like bad drivers if we say that we didn't know that the speed limit was only 35 miles per hour. If we pretend not to know the speed limit, police officers will think that we are not paying attention. Finally, we should not ask the officer to give us a break. In other words, we shouldn't ask the officer to forgive us and not give us a ticket. In conclusion, I learned a lot from that police officer. If a police officer stops me for speeding, I will be very mature and polite. Also, I will say only that I am sorry and that I will be more careful in the future.
Unit 2, Listening 3, page 64. If clauses. 1. If we arrive home early, we will make a pizza. 2. If Sarah had more time, she would finish the project. 3. My company will make a lot of money if we work harder. 4. Fritz would ask for advice if he had a problem. 5. If it rained, it wouldn't feel so hot today. 6. If we have some free time, we will go to the movies. 7. I will tell you the joke if you like funny stories. 8. She won't dance with you if you don't practice before the party.
Unit 2, Listening 4, page 66. Quadruplets, second draft. Twins are uncommon, but quadruplets are very rare. In fact, there are only 27 sets of identical ones in the world today. In Bellingham, Washington, Connie Hulford had quadruplets. Hers are all girls. As babies, they looked the same, so their father couldn't tell them apart from each other. These 4 sisters used 50 to 60 diapers a day.
Unit 2, Listening 5, page 67, The Pink Umbrella. This is the true story of a man who helped someone and wished he hadn't. Stefan Guantai is from Kenya, and Stefan lives in Seattle. He was riding on a bus. A woman got off the bus, but she accidentally left her pink umbrella behind. The bus started to pull away from the bus stop. Stefan jumped up, grabbed the umbrella, and told the bus driver that he wanted to catch the woman to give her the umbrella. He said, "Sure." So Stefan got off the bus. As soon as Stefan got off the bus driver closed the door and drove away. Stefan chased the bus because he had left his bag on it. Inside the bag were 4 textbooks, his paycheck, his house keys, a checkbook, a ham sandwich, and a can of pop. Stefan didn't catch the bus. Unfortunately, his bag is lost. However, he still has the pink umbrella.
Unit 2, Listening 6, page 72. Outstanding athletes. Athletes who are successful in the Olympics or in other sports events are unique. They have not only good physical ability, but also mental ability. In this essay, I will explain how these great athletes use their mental abilities. There are 3 ways that they use their mental abilities. First, during an event, they think about only one thing at a time. For example, if they are trying to make a basket in a basketball game, they think only about that shot. They don't think about the cheerleaders. Second, they don't have negative thoughts. For instance, the basketball shooter doesn't think, "I will feel terrible if I miss this shot." Finally, they are able to stay focused in stressful situations. If there are only a few seconds left in a close basketball game, their brains will stay very clear. Most people never become great athletes. Many people who like doing sports are strong physically, but few are strong mentally too.
Unit 3, Listening 1, page 89, A Giant Teenager. Life can be challenging for unique people. My son, Daniel, is 17 years old. He is 7 feet 5 inches tall, or about 2.2 meters, and he weighs about 330 pounds, or about 150 kilos. Because he is so tall, he experiences some unusual pressures. In this essay, I will describe my son, Daniel, and his unique life. First, Daniel has some physical problems. When he walks into a room, he has to duck his head under the doorway. It's often hard for him to squeeze into a car. He even has problems with his bed. His bed is 8 feet long, or about 2.5 meters long. So I sewed 2 sheets together. When he brushes his teeth, he has to bend way over the sink. Therefore, we hired a plumber to raise the sink and mirror in the bathroom. We also raised the shower head. He also has some emotional problems. On his basketball team, everyone expects him to be great, but he isn't. He averages only 7 points a game, so some people criticize him. When we go to a mall and grocery store, people stare at him. Some people even take his picture. At school, students also stare at him. On his first day of class, Daniel entered the classroom. The other students thought he was the teacher. A few students stood next to him to compare their sizes. Those experiences sometimes hurt his feelings. In conclusion, usually, Daniel has a strong character, and in general, he enjoys his life. However, sometimes he gets tired of his size. He wants to be a normal height, even for just one day.
Unit 3, Listening 2, page 101. A Lost Diamond. In 1976, Aaron Adrian's grandfather gave his wife a beautiful 1-carat diamond ring. She was very proud of the ring and never took it off her finger. In the fall of 2002, she gave the ring to her granddaughter, Erin. Then, on a recent vacation to the coast of Oregon, Erin wore the ring during a swim in the ocean. When she returned to the beach, she was shocked to discover that the ring had slipped off her finger. Her friends noticed that she was upset. Erin tried to explore for it underwater, but her friends were frightened that she might drown. She was unable to find it. She was embarrassed to tell her grandmother that she had worn such an expensive ring in the ocean. Erin saw Russ Restell walking the beach with a metal detector. She asked him to try to find the ring during low tide. He was glad to try, but he tried for 3 hours and had no luck. The next day, he searched for 2 more hours, but was disappointed again. He told Erin that he was sorry. She was afraid that the ring was lost forever. She was depressed and went home to Bellingham, Washington, 500 miles to the north. However, Russ wasn't satisfied, and he tried one more time. He was interested to see if he could find it. Even though he was tired, he continued to look. He wanted to give up, but suddenly he was surprised. His metal detector was beeping. It was telling him that there was something in the sand. It was the ring! He was excited and called Erin to tell her the good news. During their 20-minute phone call, she cried with joy. She was delighted.
Unit 3, Listening 3, page 108. A Salesman, Second Draft. My father is a good salesman. Because he is good at his job, he is able to earn a lot of money. there are several reasons why my father is a successful salesman. The first reason why my father does a good job is that he enjoys talking. He knows a lot of stories and likes to tell jokes. Also, it is helpful that he likes people. He always remembers his customers' names. And finally, he understands his product. He knows a lot of information about it. In conclusion, my father is a success at selling because he likes people, he enjoys talking, and he understands his product.
Unit 3, Listening 4, page 113. Living to the age of 100. I want to live for 100 years, so I decided to do some research. I found some interesting information about people who are 100. In this essay, I will describe the characteristics of these people. People who are 100 years old have two characteristics in common. First, they are usually funny. If they feel stress, they will laugh about it. About a year ago, an old woman's husband died. Of course, she felt sad. However, she started to tell jokes to her friend about finding a new boyfriend. Another characteristic of 100-year-old people is their mind. They are always trying to use their brain. For example, they play cards, read books, go to lectures, and do puzzles. I found some other interesting information too. According to research, people who are 100 years old do not share two characteristics. Some of them have good diets, and some of them have bad diets. Also, some had a lot of education, but others had very little education. In other words, healthy food and education did not make a difference. If I want to live for 100 years, I should use my brain a lot. Also, I should find some friends who will laugh with me.